Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hedin, owner of Illustrious Hardwoods in Mesa, Arizona. With me this week is Jerry Levinson. Some of you may know him from various online groups. He is a former retail store owner. He now is doing business coaching and consulting, and he also previously owned a blinds business. Jerry is a huge fan of marketing and messaging, and that has helped him succeed in all of his ventures. After hearing the discussion that I had at the end of December with Todd Saunders regarding the Floorcon event and our exchange back and forth about my thoughts on that from the installation perspective when it's more of a retailer-based event, Jerry reached out, said he wanted to talk with me about some things he heard, and so we're going to kind of play 20 questions today and go back and forth with that. Before we dive into it and let Jerry introduce himself, I want to let you know that Floor Academy is here every week to help you learn the business side of your business so you can go from owning a job to owning an asset, free up your time, and have a more profitable business and life outside of the actual business. Go ahead and you can there's tools over on flooracademypod.com if you're looking to figure out what you need to be charging. We got our business budget calculator. We've got a asset tracking tools so that you can keep track of all of your tools and things. And if something ever happens, you can send that off to the insurance company. You don't even have to think about what's missing. You already have the list. You can help support the show if it's helping you improve your business over at patreon.com/Floor Academy. And make sure to find us on YouTube. Go subscribe there. Subscribe on your favorite listening platform. And that's all I'm going to pitch to you right now. So thanks for tuning in. Jerry, who are you? What do you do? Why do you do it, buddy?
I'm a man of mystery, I'll tell you. That's fun. It was funny starting the flooring dealer group. I came from window coverings, and there was a great window covering group on Facebook. And so when I got into flooring, there was no group like that. And I thought, well, I'm going to start this group. And I'm really new to the industry. I mean, I started in 2015 with no background in flooring. So saw the opportunity. I was working in a showroom. My company was Blind Devotion, and I was inside of a flooring showroom. And the guy that was running the business, he's been doing it his whole life. But so many things were wrong, just making me cringe. And I went in to coach and help him out. Dug into his books, and it's like, God, you're done. I mean, the debt he had and all that, he had no handle on his business at all. And so it's either get a loan, and this guy is already in his 70s, you know. So he's like, I'm not putting any more money into this business. I'm like, well, then you're done. So I went ahead. My son just got out of the Army and kind of looking for something to do too. I said, hey, you want to partner up on this business? And we didn't buy his business, but we bought some of his assets.
Okay.
And we started Carpets of Arizona. And again, it was mostly grown through my knowledge of marketing and sales. So, and that's what a lot of this conversation is going to be about. It's like, how much knowledge do you have to have about products, about installation, things like that to be successful? But furthermore, I started the flooring dealer group. And again, because I'm interested in a broader conversation about marketing, about sales, about growing your business, about raising your prices, about hiring employees, managing them, about either building a legacy with your business, passing it down to your kids, or selling it. So those are the types of conversations I like to have.
Yeah.
Also, if you need 2 boxes of any material, that wasn't my intention, but that apparently seems to be a popular topic, right?
Yes, it is.
So, you know, I started that, and it's been a lot of fun. I remember in the beginning, people were like, God, I'm addicted to this thing. They're driving down the road, they're reading posts, and they're like, this is dangerous, you know, because it was just new. It was something different. Yeah, I think it's now becoming a little bit old hack. People are getting used to it and complaining about some of the posts and things on there. But in the beginning, it was fun. It was fresh. It was new. It was something that nobody ever talked about. Nobody ever saw. So
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. There's, we both got into the industry at the same time. I started in 2015 as well. And I found, the flooring installer Facebook groups, and they were all fun and exciting. And there's been so many splinter groups that have happened over the past couple of years that it's flooded. And I think a lot of groups have reached a saturation point. They're not as valuable as they could be because there's so much stuff and people are so spread out. And, well, I don't like this guy over here, so I can't be in that group. I got to be like, it's just
right.
The politics have come in, the newness has worn off, the exciting thing has worn off. And so now you're trying to take your group and find out, like, how do I keep it fun and exciting and get people involved and keep them happy? Well, yeah, it's like anything.
Yeah,
right?
and there's been some engaging questions and things like that. And again, we talk about the soliciting, and I've monetized my group, allowing people to be a sponsor
Mm-hmm.
of the group. So have 4 sponsors in there. I don't really want any more than that. I don't want it to be a ton of solicitation.
Yeah.
And and at the same token, keeping other people at bay from soliciting, but I never want to promote anybody by bad mouthing somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say that this product is bad or anything else is bad. I want more of that on there. I've always been disappointed that there wasn't more website companies that were chiming in when people ask. Everybody thinks I'm in bed with Broadloom because Todd's the only one that talks
Mm-hmm.
on the groups. He's the only one that is vocal on there.
You're
And
clearly not, because they're not the sponsor of the group. It's Floorcon.
no, they're not, and but events too, like Floorcon, to me that's an industry thing. So I would allow the promotion of Floorcon.
Mm-hmm.
I allow the promotion of Surfaces. If people have a booth at Surfaces, then yeah, tell us where you're at.
Yeah.
Things that benefit us as a community as a whole,
Correct.
that aren't directly solicitation. I want those out there.
Correct. If it's educational, if there's something to gain, like, I'm okay with the content being posted. But if you're going to come into the group and you're going to straight up say, like, hey, here's this new tool, come buy it. No, you got to go. Right. Like, I don't need that advertising, but if you're holding a training event, then let me know where it's at. Like, post it up, man. Say you're going to be over here in this city and let us know about it.
Yeah, I have hard and fast rules. You either say something valuable or you say something funny. If you're not going to be valued to the group, at least be funny, be entertaining for us. A good smart aleck comment is great every now and then. We all need some humor, right?
Yes, definitely. So let's get into it, man. You got a list of some questions over there. So this is going to be a little bit backwards today, in that essentially you get to kind of take over, and you're gonna start the discussion because you've got the questions and I've got some answers, and you probably have some rebuttals.
Yeah, it was that Floorcon conversation you had with Todd, and there were some things on there that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm not going to lie. And one thing I would like to say, and I think I'm just going to say it. I think Todd, and I reached out to him personally and said this. He said during the conference that they're the new mafia. He was clearly joking about that. And I think he's done a poor job of explaining that, that was done in jest and humor, and who really is the mafia. I think he was saying, that we're getting rid of the old mafia and there's no longer going to be a mafia. I'm going to leave that for him to explain, but I wish you guys would have addressed that better, because listening to it, and my son did say that he did hear you guys address it, but I didn't hear it. So
we get into it a little bit, and look, it's not that I know that he's not trying to necessarily create a new one, but that's not terminology that I would want to hear, because I do think that there is kind of a good old boys club based on what I've seen in my years in this industry so far, and it does try and keep people out. And if we're not going to work together, then no, we're not going to be able to move this industry forward in a positive direction. So
Well,
it's
and
not
it was funny.
good
I did
terminology, like jest or not. Like there's a better way to say like we're trying to make a new community that can be successful here.
I did Abbey is a buying group, and I went out to their facility in Florida to see what that was about. And so they had their marketing people, and then they had their people do displays, and I was like, everybody that's coming out is older and whiter than the previous guy. That's definitely a good old boys club.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, designing displays. I said, why aren't there some women involved in designing displays? Make these things sexy and attractive to women. It's designed by engineers, and they
Yes.
look horrible, and all of the benefits on them are things that customers aren't asking for.
Correct.
So, little side note that just drives me nuts.
Yeah.
So, but anyhow, to get into it, look, the topic of the conversation with Todd that you presented was how come there wasn't more of a mention of installers? How come, when you thanked all these people, you left out the installers? And I just disagreed with that premise that there was any need to. Todd's audience was the installers weren't there. You were there as an installer, but you're also a retailer. So, but for Todd's purposes and that audience, they just weren't there. And it wasn't a slight at the installers. And the conversations that were happening were interesting about that. And we'll get into that some too. But I didn't see any reason for Todd to mention the installers, thank them on stage, or for you to be offended by that in any way, or felt like you guys were left out.
So, okay. I mean, once again, yes, I understand it's a retail show, right? And so the manufacturers are there, the retailers are there, the spouses that he thanked are there, the customers, sales associates are there, right? Or retail sales associates, whatever you want to call them. Except, how many of those businesses there would be as successful as they are without that part of the industry? Okay. You can make it, you can sell it. It's not functional without the end person putting it in. Okay. It takes all three parts for this system to work. Okay. Because if the manufacturers make it and you sell it, but there's not me to put it in or somebody else to put it in, you can't sell it because there's no use for it. Right. So, if we're going to take this industry and we really want to change it and we want to move it forward, then we have to be unified and stop being parts. And that's what I'm upset about, is that it's left out. It's like manufacturers and retailers have drawn a line and they tend to end up on the same side of it, and installers get shoved off to another side.
So,
and that's not how this needs
aside,
to work.
I completely disagree. Look, you don't have business without marketing. You have to attract customers. You don't have any business unless you sell something. There isn't an installation done until something's sold. In order to sell something, you do need the product. To say that the most important thing is the installers, well, they're all important thing, and there is never one. There is never one thing. There's never one source of advertising. There's never one way for people to do business with you. There's, you do need all these things, and at a show like that, it's just not. It would be more necessary to discuss individual businesses with them. My son came up with a great idea about how to solve the problem, but even his suggestion, and which was on your post when you posted about Todd's the interview, even his suggestion to me only works with a handful of flooring dealers.
Correct. There's no one size fits all solution, and I'm not saying that installers are the most important. Like I said, it's we all share an equal role in this. Right. And so to ignore a segment that helps make you successful, I think, is an oversight. That's the point, is that thanking 2/3 of the industry, it's an oversight not to thank that last third, because many of the retailers there are successful because of the subcontractors or in-house employees they use to complete their entire sales process, right? Because the installation is part of the sales process.
Not really. I mean, that may be part of their business. That may not be part of their business. I'm working with several clients now that don't provide installation.
There are those
So
retailers. You're right.
they are making the customer find the installer. I'm actually working with a couple of people that only do installation and don't provide materials. So and I've never been one to try to change the industry. And any of the posts or videos or anything you've ever seen me do, I never talk about this utopia of changing the industry. I don't believe in changing the industry. I think you have people that are interested in growing and running a more successful business. And those are the people that are going to succeed regardless of what the industry is doing. Quite frankly, if you do opposite of what the industry is doing, you'll be more successful. Because I see industry norms and standards as being, the problem, the main thing holding people back.
I 100%
for
agree.
instance, I've said this many times. You're selling carpet. The industry tells you the most important thing to a customer is how well that carpet cleans. But if you listen to customers as they come into your showroom, there isn't one customer I've ever come in looking for a carpet that cleans well.
Yes.
And the fact is there is no carpet that cleans well. Customers clean well, but carpet doesn't clean. So the industry is constantly pushing benefits that the consumers aren't interested in. The industry's talking points are so bass-ackwards and wrong. And we want to get down to installation standards. It's impossible to have because in our different regions, the standards are completely different. The pay is completely different. So there isn't going to be an industry solution necessarily. There are groups and people like me and you that will create business programs and systems that people can adapt to become more successful. Buying groups have been wildly successful at helping people grow their business, grow their brand, do things more efficiently and better. So, I don't think that there is an industry standard. And the other thing that you want to stay away from is any kind of government regulation or anything overseen. Do we all want to be accountable to some kind of government bureaucracy? Oddly enough, in Arizona, we have a
Registry of Contractors.
Of Revenue. We have the contractors. What is it?
It's the Registry of Contractors.
Yeah, they don't have that in other states.
I know, and it's a joke here.
Right, okay. It's a joke here.
So here's what it took, right? It used to be that they changed it when I went to get my license, and this is what's funny, okay? So you used to have to go and get your 2 years experience and have your former employer or employers fill out a form and list off projects that you ran and completed successfully, okay? I was able to go into the Registry of Contractors, fill out my form, show them that I had 2 years experience. I don't even know if they called a check on it. And I went and took my tests, which in town, there's a place that is in bed with the Registry of Contractors, I believe, because you go and sit at the computer and they give you all the test questions. So the test may be 200 questions, but there's 300 questions total. So you sit at the computer, you memorize the answers. It took me 2 weeks, and it wasn't even like a hard 2 weeks. It was a couple hours a day, and after a week I had it down. I did it for another week just to make sure. I went and paid the money to take the actual test. I sat down, got 98% on both the knowledge test for flooring and the business test, and they send you a license in the mail. And sadly, I was over here doing laminate and engineered hardwood, and most of the test questions are about tile and carpet.
Yeah.
So it's an
open book test.
If you want to buy those books, yes, you don't need them. Go pay the money to study the computer test people. It's easier, but it's a complete joke. Okay. And so then, you have to be licensed to work in this state. Well, okay. Yes, but there's millions of, not millions, but there's tens of thousands of unlicensed guys advertising here. And The ROC can easily set up a Facebook account and go find them, but they don't because they don't have the manpower. So they only go after people that are robbing people of money, like outright $50,000 and above. And even then, you get a slap on the wrist. You get told you can't get a license for a while, and you can go back to it. So is licensing a good thing? I don't think so. I think it's a joke. Do we need it? No. Does there need to be some kind of standard that we're held to? Yes. Okay. And that's where industry guidelines come in, and we can look to NWFA and NTCA and ANSI standards and guidelines and things like that. But it's up to the installers to hold their crews accountable to those standards. And I think a good retailer would also want to make sure that they can find a way to hold their installers to those guidelines and standards.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into that. So the installers, do you think the installers are any kind of victims of circumstance? Like they're, you know, I've heard this complaint all the time, like they're underpaid, which I think is ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Are they victims of circumstance? No. We've done it to ourselves. 100%. Whatever happened is people don't, you'll agree with this, I'm sure. People don't know how to run a profitable business. They don't understand their numbers. They don't understand what their time is worth. They don't understand what they're actually providing. So when, and you know this just by running the store, right? Everyone comes in and they ask you, how much do you pay? Right. And even
that blew me away. I was blown away with that, trying to figure out what I'm going to charge. And they're asking me what I'm going to pay. You know, I'm like, well, I'm not going to my customers asking them how much are they going to pay me.
Correct.
Why are you coming to me and asking me how much I'm going to pay you?
We both agree that installers should be coming in, running a business and saying, okay, I want this amount, and you guys can haggle back and forth. And should every installer get paid the same? Hell no. There's really good A-list, like A crew installers, and there's B and C and probably F crews. And could you use an F crew here and there? I suppose maybe you got that nasty like apartment rental flip thing going on, right? And they can go kick it in with their kicker and call it a day, and it's going to be ripped out in 12 months anyways when the lease is up. So no, they're not victims of circumstances. They're victims of themselves from poor training, from generations of poor training. It's been perpetrated from what I can see, and it's been watered down and gets worse and worse because each guy can run a business poorer than the last guy for the most part, and then he trains poorly because he can't pay well enough, and so then that guy sees that, you know, oh, you got $5,000 this week, but you only paid me $500. Well, I'm going to go do it for $4, and I'll at least get $4. And then he tries to bring a guy on, and he can't afford to pay him $500 a week. He can only pay that guy $400 a week. And then that guy sees the $4,000, and he's only getting $400. So he's like, well, I'll go get $3,800. And then he's paying a guy $350. And like,
hey,
it
look,
just,
the guy that,
you know,
the guy that wants to, that's the guy I want to work with. The guy that doesn't like how much he's getting paid. Mm-hmm. But what I see is complacency. The installers, they keep saying they want more pay. I'm like, bullshit. So here's my evidence that they want more pay. The first thing I'm going to ask an installer, if you want more pay, how many companies have you called in your area to see what they're paying? Mm-hmm. And if they have work? None. Mm-hmm. You know, they haven't called anybody. They're not trying to find more work. They're not finding ways to get better. So it starts with them personally having a desire. It's not the industry's responsibility to make somebody have a desire to grow and have a desire. Now, I said this with Matt. We had a show about this topic as well, and we talked about it. To me, it's the installer's responsibility. It's the store's opportunity. A store can have the opportunity to bring these guys in as a professional and have a talk. You sit down, mm-hmm. you show them some of the business things that you've discussed. You know, what's the proper amount to charge? But it goes beyond that. How do you become a good installer? It doesn't have to do with doing a good job on the install.
Well,
that's not an option.
No, that's expected.
You have to do a good job.
Yes.
But it has to do with how do you greet the customer? What do you wear? You know, how clean are you in their house? How do you clean up after the job is done? I can't believe these people they're asking the question, should my guy vacuum after he's done with the carpet? I'm like, are you serious?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Should you clean the table after you're done serving a meal? What do you mean? Should you vacuum afterwards? That shouldn't even be a question. So, and if that's a problem with the installer, then I don't know. You need to look. I don't think you just need to fire an installer, but you need them to come in and have an understanding. Look, some of the best installers are the guys that we never used again. The guys that we said, you know what, we're no longer using them. They come back and they're like, hey, you're not giving me any more work. Well, this is the things you did wrong, and this is where you need to improve. And they realize that they need to do a better job. Yeah. I love it. We have one guy that he had a look on his face that he just didn't give a shit, So, and it wasn't, he's a nice guy, but he had this look on his face that he didn't care what you thought. And, unfortunately, that was the look he had. But during COVID, when he was wearing a mask, everybody loved him because he couldn't see his face. So he couldn't project that he didn't give a damn.
Yeah, that's funny.
But installers have to, not the installers have to. Look, you've got guys that have a desire to grow and a desire to do better. Those people will get the help. I've said it many times, like the people I've worked with, the people I've coached, the people have gone to a master class that have done great improvements. I don't take any credit for that. They did it because they had a desire to grow. The people that are hiring me because they have a desire to grow.
Yeah,
I believe those people are going to get there anyhow. I'm going to help them get there faster, but I don't deserve any of the credit. It has to do with them, not their knowledge, not their background, not their experience, but it has to do with their desire to grow and improve. If you got that, you're going to kick ass, whether you're the installer, the retailer, whatever position you're in, because hopefully all these installers want to become the retailer someday, because you can't install forever. The life of an installer is longer than it should be. But by the time you're in your 40s, man, you got to be transitioning. If you're not transitioning into retailer, you're running out of time.
I agree. And there's plenty of options out there, right? You don't have to do retail. You could just become a sales associate. You can become a rep. There's options out in the industry for you as you age out of installation. But I think the key word here and what you're really pointing out, and I agree, is you said complacency, right? People become complacent. And the ones that succeed, and this is true throughout all of time, is the people that get ahead will take action. That's what you're talking about, right? They decided to call you and get coaching, or they decide to take what they hear on this podcast or they read in a book and they actually put it in place. Most people will listen and listen and listen, and they have the knowledge, but they don't act on it, right? It just sits there doing nothing for them. It doesn't matter that you accumulated it if you don't apply it and push it forward. So no, I guess to wrap this up, right? No, they're not victims of circumstances. Once again, I believe they're victims of themselves, right? They're not willing to go do the work because it makes them uncomfortable. I will say that through listening, there was a gentleman, I can't remember his name. He's outside of Detroit. I know that. We did an episode where he actually took the business calculator that I made, filled it all out, went to the owner of his retail shop, showed him the numbers, and they sat down, like you said, right? And they had that business discussion of like, look, man, I'm going broke doing your projects with what you're paying me, and here's why. This is what it's costing me to operate. And he got everybody in the shop a pay raise. Yeah. So it was awesome. But he took action.
What got me to talking to Kyle, it was the second episode I did with him, was we were talking about stairs, and somebody was saying that the installer walked off the job site because they had to do carpet around spindles. I've done upholstery in my life, so I know it's no big deal to upholster. Well, Kyle shared a video with me, not Kyle,
Matt Garcia.
Matt shared a video with me about doing carpet, and I was like, oh my God, I had no idea. Part of the problem is installers think the rich white guy, the retailer, the owner is smart enough. He's taking advantage of you. He knows and understands.
Mm-hmm.
He really doesn't.
I know.
The store owner doesn't understand what it takes. The salespeople don't understand what it takes. That's where I say it's the installer's responsibility to sit down with them as a professional, not to
Hmm.
bitch, gripe, and complain,
No.
because that's not going to work. But to sit down and show them, look, we need to get paid more. This is, it takes me a full day to do a carpet on stairs. I would have had no idea
Hmm.
had I not seen that video.
Well, and
So,
that's what I'm talking. When
so we can charge more. We'll charge our customers more and pay for it.
I'm sure you would. And I think that's the problem, is that retailers don't know they need to charge more. All these guys, the retailer doesn't pay because you haven't told them how much they need to, right? And so this is what goes into when I've said that installers should go hang out with the sales associates and the sales associates should go check out installs. It's not so that they can necessarily learn each other's jobs. It's so that they can understand the bullshit you have to go through to accomplish it. What does it actually take to make that sale, right? Like I can kind of picture that because I've done both sides, but just being in a home with Susie homeowner, I get that going through the install process, there are difficult clients. And if she's difficult during the install, she may have been difficult during that buying process. She may have been the lady that wanted to gather 100 samples in her home and couldn't decide for 9 months what color to go with. Like some of these homeowners, they're nuts. And that's okay. Like we can work with them and get them through it, right? It's all about education and solving their problem at the end of the day. But if you don't know what it takes me to get through a day and what that actually costs me and how long something takes, then yeah, it's your prerogative to be able to sell it what you think it's worth or what they're telling you, right? And so if you're foolish enough to step into that, yes, you've created your own problem by not, once again, you're not running a business. You're owning this job and expecting somebody else to do it for you. Except the minute you became a subcontractor, you hopefully started an LLC. That's a business. You're no longer an installer. The last thing you are is an installer, because even in dealing with a retailer, you're still going in and selling a product. You're selling your services to that retailer. And so
Right.
there is something to deliver on. Like it's a mindset. I think guys think, oh, well, I'm a subcontractor. Well, okay, if you want to be an installer, then go ask them to make you an employee, and then you can be an installer.
I've got an installer I'm working with now that wants to grow his business, and I'm showing him exactly how you approach a retailer. It's a way nobody ever does it.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm the installer, because I always think about what would I do if I was in that business? If I'm the installer, I would have a bullet point checklist. This is the stuff I do on an install, and my goal as the installer is to get you 5-star reviews. It's to get you repeat business. It's to get you referral customers. I want to make you, the store owner, look like a hero. I want to make your company look like the hero. So there's no question that they're going to use you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, that at the end of the day, that's what the job is of that installer, is to make them, make the store look good.
100%. You opted into either an employee relationship or subcontracting relationship with that company. It's their sale, and you need to do the end result of it. So yes, you have to go make them look good. And if you're not going to, then you're not going to be paid well. You're not going to be employed there very long, and you're going to have to go do it. I couldn't find that relationship. I couldn't find somebody that wanted to partner with me, and I'm difficult. I get it. I'm a diva. So it's easier for me to go and sell my own projects, and I can handle them start to finish. And then I decided that I was sick of not making money on material, so I added in material. It's been
Yeah.
easier to just deal with it that way, right? And there's plenty of guys and gals that have done what I'm doing, but not everybody takes that method, and that's fine. They don't have to.
So one of the things I wanted to address with you is something that you said during that interview, and
Mm-hmm.
I've heard you say it a few times, that installers are going to solve the problem. So if you could quickly define what's the problem, and why do you believe installers are going to be the ones to solve it.
So, okay. If this installation crisis is real, which I believe it is, the average age of a sand and finish guy is 51 years old. Okay. How much longer can you do sand and finish work at 51 years old? So there's a huge age gap here. If I'm 40 and the average age is 51, and there's not a lot of 20-year-olds in this industry, there's probably a problem moving forward as we continue 5, 10, 15 years down the road with what the amount of installers looks like in this country. So, well, there's certified flooring installers, and there's CTEF for the CTI, and there's the NWFA doing their thing, and now you got the Floor Covering Education Foundation, and let's see, Unite's been started. Look, there's all of these things out here. Oh, we're going to train people and get them going and da-da-da-da-da. Great. You can train all the people you want, but are there enough good installers to put them with? Probably not. Okay, so now you're going to spend the time to train somebody in proper methods and get them up to speed in 8 weeks, 16 weeks, 3 months, whatever this program length is. And then you're going to send them off to work with some guy that doesn't understand how to run a business and charge enough, and they have to cut corners. We're going to undo what we just created. So it's going to take the whole industry, right? It's going to take manufacturers, retailers, and installers coming together to make a successful system, right? We all need to work together to care about this industry and move it forward in a positive direction. But when I'm saying that it's up to installers to solve it, we need to be good gatekeepers of who we're letting in the door. And I'm not trying to say we need to exclude people, but we need to take pride in what we're doing. And we need to instill passion in people so that they love what they do and they want to do it to the best of their ability. Because if you have people that are working like that and you get to go hang out with people that love what they do every day, it's going to make it a completely different environment, because there are a lot of salty, old-ass, crusty installers out there, and they're just bitter about it. Right. And I don't want to go work for that guy. So the mindset and the energy around this blue-collar slob trade, which it's not, this is an art form, you should be proud of what you're doing, needs to change. And so installers need to
be the marketing arm, a part of the marketing arm, part of the messaging in attracting other installers by showing them the opportunity. But it's going to take, whether it's an organization or a rich person that heads it up, to, from what I've seen, the biggest problem in attracting young people to the industry is it's not on the menu. It's not even an option. You know, people haven't heard about flooring installation when they're younger. And part of it is maybe getting people from Mexico's having a system, having a system to a guest worker program where they can come in and learn the trade, because kids in this country probably have better opportunities. So to make good money, even at fast food, they can make pretty good money. So it's a little hard to attract them to an industry because you're competing against all these other things.
Yes. Well, so you can go to the McDonald's that's, I can practically spit on the dang thing from my house. $17 an hour to start.
Right.
There's still guys here in Phoenix that are offering $12 to $15 an hour to start for them.
Yeah.
If you can't start a guy at 20 and find a way to make money on him when it's only going to cost, like, once you include overhead and taxes and all, you're like $200 a day at $20 an hour. You can't speed up $200 a day. He can't, like, a new guy's going to slow you down that much. Get out of here. I haven't had it happen to me once, so I don't buy it. Okay, you're doing something wrong with your systems and processes, and so
people get frustrated. Look, hiring people is difficult.
It is.
You hire a salesperson, and a lot of people, especially when you're smaller, when you're a one-man band, and you hire people and it doesn't work out, you're like, oh, screw this, I'll just do it myself. And so you've got to have that. You got to fail. You got to understand that you're going to fail your way to success. That's the only way to do it, is that you hire somebody, it doesn't work out. Hopefully you learned how to hire somebody better. Hopefully you learned how to manage somebody better. You know, well, I was getting at what the installers are the solution to the problem. I don't think that the installers can solve the problem.
Not by themselves.
They're the workers. They're the ones that need it, you know. And quite frankly, I don't think anybody's going to solve the problem for their industry. I think the only people who are going to solve the problem are individuals who are going to end up solving the problem for their business. I mean, you got a guy like Jason Goldberg that, you know, $300 million a year, he needs installers. Well, he's coming up with program systems to train, hire, educate installers, you know, and it really is those big companies that where installers will be attracted to. That's where they'll be born. And at some point they may leave that company and go to work for other people. So it depends on if they're subcontractors in-house. And it's kind of funny, our industry has really developed that subcontractor as a role. It's very difficult to manage in-house people. There are very few people that have made that work. So giving them enough volume of work, and sometimes when you have in-house people, they don't work as hard or as fast as a subcontractor who will do whatever it takes to get that job done. So there's a real big learning curve of having in-house, and the installer's not making as much money in-house as they are as a subcontractor.
I disagree with that 100%. Why would you have to pay them any less? The only reason they're going to make less is because they don't have to carry the truck, the tools, the trailer, as much insurance coverage.
Because you're paying them by the hour. You're not paying them. You're not paying them on the project that they're doing them. You're not paying them. And I don't know if anybody has a system where they pay them based on the work they're doing, or do they pay them? And most of the people I know that have an in-house crew are paying them hourly. And they may pay a manager a little bit more money to operate and run that crew, you know. And again, there's nothing unethical about it.
No.
Look, they're doing none of these employees are forced to work for that company.
Here's my point, okay, is that
everybody has a choice.
The hourly rate can get changed, okay? So that's a cop-out to say that you can't make as much if you go hourly at a shop. If you can go earn $5,000 a week on your own as a subcontractor running a project, okay, or I go sell my own project to a homeowner and it's $5,000 a week. If I look at what it cost me with my overhead and maintaining the tools and all that stuff, okay, then I can work out the number and say that at the end of the week, the installer should end up with $3,000 in their pocket. So why can't I just pay them hourly $3,000, right? Now, granted, you must hit these expectation levels. And I think that's the problem with hourly employees, is that you're sending out these installers and you're saying, well, go accomplish this, right? And they're dogging it and they're taking longer. Okay, well, I'm not going to employ you and pay you that rate if you can't perform at this level. That's the benefit of the employee, is you get to control everything, right? So you have to follow my system and how I tell you to install. You have to hit the quotas I'm giving you, and you need to deliver. Otherwise, we can lower your rate because you're not delivering at what expectations I have, or I can fire you. You don't have to, like, I think people forget that you can take money away from people as an hourly employee. You don't have to just give raises. You can pull money out of their pocket too. You don't have to pay them 45. You can say, you know what? You're not worth 45 anymore. You're 40. End of story.
There's not a whole lot of people that get their wages lower that stay at that company. So that's your decision to keep them or not. I mean, if you're going to lower their wages, you're probably going to get rid of them anyway. Yeah, but the business fluctuates. It goes up and down. And that's why the subcontractor model works, because I don't have to have somebody in-house.
Yeah.
Also,
I gotta interrupt this for 1 second. I gotta get this in here and then we'll carry on. I'm sorry, Jerry. Not all foam boards have the high performance that Go Board does. Johns Manville has been producing rigid foam boards for decades for commercial roofs. What does this mean for flooring and shower applications if they aren't exposed to the same harsh elements that a roof is? If it's good enough for commercial roof, then it's even better for your flooring, countertop, or shower project, especially at a reasonable price. Visit www.jm.com/GoBoard for more information. All right. Sorry for the brief interruption. Please.
No problem. So I don't want your show to go like 2 hours long here. So let me hit you with a couple other ones.
We'll get where we go, man. Whatever happens.
Let me hit you in between the eyes with a couple other ones. Let's address these. One thing, just a comment. You did mention in the show with Todd that showing them, installers should be shown how to run the business.
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying, I think you're in a unique position where you could do that. You can create a business in a box. You can show them step by step a program, something that you should develop and sell to installers to show them exactly how to start and run their own flooring business.
Well, the information's out there, right? Like you can listen to the show weekly. You can go read a couple of books. Like there's things I'm working on. Like I'm not going to lie, but do I want to put together, as of this point, do I want to put together like an online package and have like classes and stuff? No, I don't want to do that. That's not a space that I want to operate in currently, but would it be in a retailer's best interest to help their installer be successful? Yes, it would. I think we both can agree on that, right? If you can help make your installer successful, then you will be more successful.
Which is great, but some of the retailers aren't even working at themselves being successful.
Correct.
Much less focused on their installers.
Yes.
That's kind of a rare breed as it is.
I understand.
So I think you kind of addressed this, but as a sales person, how important is it to understand product knowledge?
Well,
such as, let me ask you, what's the unique difference between laminate and luxury vinyl? What are the differences between those two products that it's important to be aware of?
One's a compressed fiberboard and one's plastic. One's
how will one be different for the customer, the end user living on it?
Well,
both let's talk equivalent, like Revwood. Both scratch resistant, both waterproof.
They're very similar. Well, see, so I'm going to go the route of I don't believe that any laminate's actually waterproof because it's compressed foam board or fiberboard, right? So if water gets into the core, it will swell. Now, granted, you can sit here and say that luxury vinyl plank isn't technically waterproof. Well, it is. It's just waterproof top down or bottom up. So if you have a moisture issue underneath the floor and you didn't properly mitigate moisture in the concrete or from your crawl space, you can cause a failure and the LVP can fail. Honestly, for me, like I don't push a lot of laminate. I'm going to push luxury vinyl plank. That's my prerogative. But at the end of the day, they're both good products when installed properly. And you know what matters more to Susie Homemaker is what the hell it looks like. Let's find you the product that you like and fits your lifestyle. So you got a bunch of kids running around and they're under the age of 15. You probably don't want a hardwood floor. You probably want something, especially if they're really little, right? You got some dogs running around there. Okay, these products are what work for you. So do I have crazy product knowledge from the manufacturer and I need to know about the wear layer and the scratch? No, I don't. I look, this is, you and I agree on this point. Like,
okay,
that stuff's garbage. Okay. I want to make sure I can solve your problem as effectively as possible to make you happy. It needs to function in your home. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. So product knowledge.
One of the questions I asked recently was, do you have anything in your showroom that you wouldn't recommend? And the reason I asked that is because most people, you know, they stand behind everything they carry in their showroom. So
unbelievable. There's no way you can. So I have 255 square feet. That's it. And you know, that does not go far. Could you imagine trying to run your shop out of 255 square feet with all the carpet you had? Yeah. Like, it's not, you have to be super picky. I have hand selected every single product that's in there as something that I see as better than some other product. So I'm very picky, right?
As big as our showrooms 2,500 square feet, but I'd stand behind every single product. If I wouldn't stand behind it, I wouldn't put it in my
Well,
showroom.
to be honest, look, the manufacturer, and I've had this conversation 100 different times. If the manufacturers are going to put it out there, it works. They've spent too much damn money on it for it not to work. On what causes failures is bad installs or bad application, but generally bad installs. That's what causes failures, because when it is a manufacturer issue, they will generally step up and fix it.
Yeah, in general, but I've also seen cases where it was elevation or something like that where a product didn't work, kind of unique circumstances. But even in those, you learn, you fail, you have education, you stop carrying a product that doesn't work in that elevation or whatever.
Yeah.
So, people generally carry stuff that works. All right. So how important is it for a salesperson to understand installation?
So if we're going to talk like technically, like should the salesperson be able to go in and install? No, they should not. Should they be able to walk in and understand the installation process and how it's going to go so that they can better accommodate a solid estimate? Yes. I think a lot of retail sales associates that get sent out on measures, especially probably when they're early on, they can overlook things, right? They can miss a transition. They can miss little details that may help build up the sale, or like, I know
Give
that
me
when
an example of something a salesperson should know
so
when they're going out.
I know when I walk in a home and it has like a fireplace that I'm going to undercut that, right? I'm not going to sell quarter round to go around it. It looks like garbage. That's something that a salesperson may miss, not consider. And then you're going to end up having to order extra quarter round after the fact to take care of it, which is a pain. And you might notice it a couple days before and be able to take care of it, still finish on time. But end result is it's going to look horrible, right? So I'm able to walk in because I walk through every project I sell as, how am I going to complete this, right? Because I have that installer mindset, even though I'm doing the retailer thing now. And so I see the fireplace and I say, okay, that's going to be an extra $200, $250, or whatever. I had to undercut like 50 linear feet of brick recently on a project. And so that was like $500. And it made everything look way better because you're able to slip the product underneath instead of put something on top of it. So it's, not only does it look better for the end user at the end of the day, but it's an upsell that installer would be able to make more money on now.
How often do you usually give an estimate in the home, or do you take the information back and provide an estimate?
So I prefer to go home. Could I close on the spot? Yes, but it takes me a minute to come up with all the numbers, and I don't want to sit at somebody's house for another 45 minutes or an hour and then I'm trying to rush through it and whatnot, because occasionally I miss something. Like I can come back home and I can walk through that house 2 or 3 more times in my head, and I might, I forgot this, I need to add this on or something.
And this is what I'm teaching people, is how to provide the estimate in the home and not worry about, a lot of people are selling this mechanically and they're worried more about getting it right than getting the sale. So they want to make sure they get all the details and they get everything right. You don't even have the sale yet. So, and this is where I'll argue and say that you don't need as much product knowledge. You don't need as much installation knowledge. Is it good to have? Maybe, but is it necessary? No, not at all. You really could go in and decorate. And if you wanted to make sure and you wanted to absolutely get things right, after you get the sale, you send in your professional to go in and do an inspection and make sure that we catch all the trim. We do all the, some people are sending in the expert to go in and do the measuring, find out all the details and information so we can create an accurate quote. An accurate quote is not what they're looking for. They're looking for flooring. I'm buying flooring. I'm not buying a price. I'm not looking for the accuracy and the details and all the information. Give me a happy meal. Get this thing done right and put my furniture back where it belongs and give me a good experience. And the price that you charge, one of the questions is, one of the things that drives people nuts is when Home Depot offers free installation. Who cares? the price is the price. If I offer free installation,
it's built in
does that mean
somewhere.
my installer's not getting paid? And does it really matter? Customers don't care. They're paying whatever price they're paying.
Correct.
Is the install price.
It's built in somewhere. Anyone that thinks something is free is a fool, right? Because so like, okay, Facebook's free. Well, we're the product. Okay, so can you live with that? Can you live with putting all of your data out there that you interact with Facebook and they get to use it as metrics to sell to their advertisers that now put ads on the platform? Okay, that's how it works. You're the product. That's why it's free. So Home Depot, well, they just make sure their pad's really, really expensive and it covers the cost of install. Like, does it bother me? I guess so. But at the end of the day, like, it's in the price. I think you have a different approach to how you're dealing with clients. And this is where I think like retailers get to a certain size and you guys have to take a certain amount of work because you want to make sure, like, if you don't keep a subcontractor busy, he's not going to stick around with you, correct? He's going to go find work elsewhere. So you end up in a position.
I mean, that's not really the premise. I mean, if I'm busier, I'm hiring more subcontractors.
Correct.
That ebbs and flows. I'm not trying to stay busy. I'm not going to discount so I can keep my installers busy. I know there's some that will do that,
but you're going out and
that's not my concern.
You're taking like every single lead that comes in, right? You'll send out your salespeople to like, here, go measure, go talk, go bring out product, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'm not interested in that. My business model is different than yours. Okay, so I'm going to have a conversation on the phone and I can give you this rough like idea that you're talking about of like, well, okay, it's going to be something like this. Is I can do that over the phone. A luxury vinyl plank install is going to cost me $11 to $17 a square foot with $450 to $550 in product allowance. That's tear out.
I
install,
would recommend that either because you're not in the home. You're not decorating. You're not showing them.
Don't need to. If that's not in what your budget is, then I don't care about you. That's the way I want to run my business, and it works just fine to keep me busy and let me do what I'm doing. So when I go out, because I'm going to charge you a $100 consultation fee. I don't get my free estimate was that. I just told you it's $11 to $17 a square foot. How much carpet's in your house? Mostly carpet. Okay, you're 11 to 13. You got all tile and wood coming out. Well, you're 16 to 18, and my numbers are dead on. I hit them like every single time. So now I'm going to charge you a $100 consultation fee because my expertise is not free. So I'm going to come out to your home. I'm going to measure everything. We're going to go over your project start to finish. I'm going to bring out the samples, or actually you came to my shop and picked out samples, brought them back to your home. Now you've had them for a couple of days. So I'm going over start to finish the project and I'm walking you through what this is going to look like. Okay. So now we're building this dream. Now I'm selling you the sexiness of what this new floor is going to look like, how we're going to make it happen, how we're doing this all. If you don't like the price at the end, then I keep the $100 for my time and my gas. And if you do, it's applied to your final balance.
The conversation and the argument, if you will, the debate is not about how you are running your business. It's more about the criticism from people that are smaller like you that feel that there's a lot of, craftsmen out there like you that are intimately aware of all these things, that you feel that the salespeople, and we hear this a lot, and when I say you, I mean everybody
yes, I get it.
Position that says that these salespeople should have more product knowledge. These salespeople should have more knowledge about the installation. I can't believe these guys go out there. You talk to a guy like Brian at Refloor, $30 million a year company, and right out of the gate, that guy doesn't know jack about flooring. He's only selling luxury vinyl. The salespeople he hires doesn't know anything about it. They don't know much about installs other than what they learned, but they get the jobs done.
Yeah.
They sell them, and the guy enjoys nothing but 5-star reviews. He takes good care of his customers, and there's the craftsmen that are moving slower than they need to. And look, anybody can do the business. I'm not saying everybody should grow their business. I talked to one guy that is like, I love what I do. I'm installing. I love my daily work. Okay, I'm not the right guy for you.
Yeah.
I'm interested. I'll help the people that want to grow. But if you're happy where you're at, then God love you. Go ahead and do what you're doing.
Well, I think that's
It's where
that's
you
it.
guys get on the forums and criticize the guys that are moving fast. Oh, these guys suck. These guys, they don't care about this. They don't care about that. And, I see people getting obsessed and caught up in the details that don't matter to the customer. They're selling mechanically rather than decorating, rather than selling how beautiful their floor is going to look. And there's even the mechanics that don't realize the work they're doing, the impact it has on customers.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking at their install. They don't realize that customer's waking up every day to a brand new floor and how impactful it is on their life.
Well, and I mean,
And it's a shame.
I think that's something I've brought up is people want to complain about the cost of a floor, except it's the most used item in your house. You don't beat on anything as much as a floor. So there's plenty of justification to why it should be expensive. As for like people moving slow and whatnot, I think there's a difference, right? Like I want to build an intimate relationship with my client. You want to make a sale, I think.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I want to
Well,
make a sale.
okay.
The only
I
way I
want to
can
build
provide
it.
them new flooring is if I sell them.
Great. I want to build an intimate relationship. I don't want what you have. And I think that like maybe it's an ethics thing. I have no idea, right? Our ethical views on how a sale should look, right? Because you call them customers, I call them clients. A customer is very transactional. I'm not after transactions. I'm after relationships. So just the I think the way that we view what we're doing is where we have the difference of opinion. And is my view correct? No, it's not. It's my view. Is your view correct? No. If you want to go build a transactional based business, go ahead. I guarantee you that, look, we both know Jason, right? Flooring America is very transactional, guaranteed, right? It's a lot of builder work. It's very little actual like homeowner retailer. It's come in, get it done, bang it out, boom. Okay. I don't want that. I want to move slower. Okay. I'd rather find a way to build a healthy $2 million per year business, finding very specific clients that fit me as opposed to running 5 to 10 million out of a retail store, just knocking out projects.
My criticism is not how you operate. It's how you will criticize other people, other salespeople who don't. Again, one of the questions is, what about moving furniture for free? Is that a problem? Is there any problem with somebody offering free furniture move?
Once again, you're advertising something to the client for free. At the end of the day, is the store going to pay me? I hope so, because you're an idiot if you're working for a store that's not paying you to move furniture. Okay, so but I also don't think we should be moving furniture. We're flooring installers. We're not movers, but that's a whole different thing. We're not going to get into that.
Well, I mean, it is part of this. I mean, this is part of the look. You've become an authority, an advisor, somebody. You've built that platform.
Mm-hmm.
So the things you say do matter, and there's a handful of you guys that are influential. And when you criticize, you guys are looking at it through a lens of how you operate your business. And you're a boutique. You're a boutique store that operates in a totally different way than people that are doing 5, 10, 20, 30 million, that are moving fast.
Correct.
And the criticisms of whether it's free furniture or how people market themselves or their business, the stuff that they're offering. At the end of the day, what matters most is, are you taking good care of your customers? What's most important to me is not only that sale, absolutely that sale, but that customer's experience is really important to me. At the end of the day, I want a 5-star review. I want repeat business. I want referral business.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I'm growing my business. It's the best way to take care of my salespeople and my installers and my customers. So, I don't see anything. And again, your opinion has probably evolved on some of this stuff as far as the installation, and you've mentioned that too.
Well,
but
yeah,
just
and
the
I
way
mean,
that we sell it, the way that we operate it, and the way that we hire it. Some companies pay the installer based off what they charge, which I think is irrelevant. Like they'll pay the installers a percentage of what they charge for the install
mhm.
or the job. And I'm the people I'm coaching, I'm like, look, you pay the installers for the job that they're doing, regardless. If you're losing money, you pay them what they're worth. It has nothing to do with what you charged.
Yeah,
So what you charge is irrelevant for the installer. They should get paid for the work they're doing.
yeah. Well, and that's what you need to know what it costs you to operate that person and send them out, right? There may be a better fit for that project if you misquoted it. So, um, look, in what? How long has it been? A little over 3 years, 3 years and 3 months. This has been a thing of me getting on a microphone and running my mouth and people listening. Which thank you all for listening and continuing to. It amazes me all day that you find it insightful and useful. My views from 3 years ago are not my views now. Okay. And so this is an ever evolving learning thing for me. So could I come around to where you're at? Maybe, but that's not where I'm at right now. But I think that if you went back and you look at Jerry from 20 years ago running a blinds business, are you the Jerry that you are today? Do you have the same business views, or have they evolved and changed, and like you've tried things and you failed, and so now we've grown, right? So me getting into a discussion with somebody online or a debate or throwing out my comment to them in your group is most likely really me challenging the idea to see where it can go. I look, you, you and I get into it. And because I'll argue for argument's sake, I'll play devil's advocate just to do it, to push the point. I may 100% agree with you, but I will play the other side just to do it because I want to see what it looks like. So I
Fair
think
enough. I
that's like, I want to see it through. I want to work it from both sides where I'm trying to learn. I want to understand why this way's better or that way's better, or how can I grow, or how can I combine it together and make something new, right? I'm trying to work through all the ideas. That's my process. That's just how I do it. It pisses a lot of people off, and that's why I'm employed on my own over here. But that's my process. Is it healthy? I have no idea. So it's I think that's a few of the guys, not all of them. I know that there's some that are really picky and they throw their stuff out and they're like hardcore to it. I don't think that's necessarily me. Like, I'm out here trying to grow and change and learn, but I will run down an argument down a certain trail on purpose, whether I believe it's true or not, because I'd rather see it through than cut it off short and just be like, forget it.
Well, look, let me share with you kind of closing remarks. To me, what I see the biggest problem with installers and most business people that I work with,
Mm-hmm.
the absolute biggest problem is they don't understand how good they are. They don't understand the work they're providing and what they are. A lot of people take for granted some of the stuff that they do
Mm-hmm.
and how impactful it is to customers. And that's where I push them to raise their prices. Um, I mean, it is kind of funny. There are a lot of people that do take pride in their work, and I love getting into these arguments with people that they're insulted by customers calling and asking, "What do you charge?"
They don't know what
And
else to ask.
yeah, I like to say, well, what should they ask? Well, what's another question that they should ask you? So, but people that feel that their worth is greater than what a customer wants to pay, and it is on you to sell it, but it's also it's not in what you do and what it's in your presentation and again, not just you, installers
Yes.
in general, how you present what you do is impactful to a customer, and it will. You got to make it easy for customers to make a buying decision. That's why I don't believe in taking the estimate back or doing line item quotes. You know, what does that customer want? They don't want the accuracy of the quote. They want to get going. They want to get this thing going. They want to start the process. They want to start their project. And you can come up with one quote that encompasses everything, one price, and that'll encompass everything. And likely it's going to be more expensive than if you broke it down. But you're more likely to get to the job by charging one price and get everything, and doing it right and creating a great customer experience. No compromise. We're not taking shortcuts and corners. The guys that do sand and refinish are the ones that drive me probably the nuts most, is because they're charging $3-4 a foot, and what they're worth is 7 or 8.
Well,
but they're influenced by what everybody else is charging. And it's like the work you guys are doing is amazing, and what it takes to do that work, it's very complicated. That should not be $3 and $4 a foot.
The guys that are $3 and $4 a foot are $3 and $4 a foot for a reason, because they're not the $7 and $8 a foot guys. I guarantee it.
No, there's a majority of them. That's what they're charging.
I know that, and they're not the $7 and $8 a foot guys. Trust me.
Some of them are. Some of them are. They don't.
Correct,
they're afraid and intimidated to charge more because that's the going rate in their area.
I know, but
so they're uniquely aware of what everybody else is charging.
You're right.
They're afraid to charge more.
You're right. And my argument on the show constantly is I don't care what the going rate is. I care what my rate is. I care what it costs me to operate my business and what it costs me to be profitable to the level of profitability that I want. Okay. It's up to me to now go sell it. Okay. So the example I use is this is the problem with guys, right? Like, I've looked at things and I've learned it's really fun to move zeros around. Okay. So I can sell 1 million things for $1, or I can sell one thing for $1 million, or whatever the combination is in between, right? $100,000 things, so on and so forth. If I try hard enough, okay, could I sell a floor for one floor for $1 million? Probably. It might take me 10 years, but I could do it. Okay. I'd rather do that than find a way to sell 1 million things at $1. It's just going to take too long. I don't want to deal with it. It's too transactional, too slow. Okay. So for the way I look at it is I've increased my rates, and I've just found a way to better present it, better market it, better essentially go like you're talking about, right? Get in front of people and sell them this vision at a higher rate. I'm more expensive than other people in this market, and everyone, it's Phoenix. You can't charge anything here. I've been doing it. I'll continue to do it. I don't win them all. I don't want to win them all. I want to win the ones of the people that want me. Okay. And I think, once again, this is where I think the ideas differ a little bit, right? You're talking like, I know you set up the thing at Carpets of Arizona where it was like, this product, no matter what you have in your house, it was like $12 a square foot all in.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't do that deal, because I'm going to end up getting a house that's 3,000 square feet of tile, and I'm going to lose my ass on it. It's just not going to be as profitable as I want, and I'm not doing that. So,
I guarantee you what we do is profitable.
For you, with the rates that you pay, yes.
You think and that's another argument, that the rates we pay are the rates we pay. We actually pay pretty good.
I disagree. I've seen your rates. I went into your store. I talked.
I know, but you can't compare what you're charging the retailer to what you're paying subcontractors. There is a difference. And
there is,
and
because
comparing
I have
those rates.
There's less stuff involved. You're right. But even taking that stuff off, I still wouldn't have wanted to do it. And it's not always, here's the thing, is it's not necessarily the installation rates. I think it's the extras rates. I think you get paid like garbage. Like, most retailers will pay you like garbage for removing a toilet, moving furniture around. It's the extras rates. Prepping a floor, they all suck. It's that stuff where it is absolutely just trash. Okay. So there are places I can go to a client and tell them I want $150 to pull and reset a toilet. Okay. Or they can call the plumber and it's going to be $250. There are shops in town that will pay $25 and expect you out of your pocket to provide the $6 wax ring. So now I make 19, 18, 19, 19 bucks to pull and reset a nasty toilet that probably wasn't cleaned. Let alone I touch that toilet, and if it leaks, that liability is on me to take care of all of that flooring that got damaged. It is not worth it. It's insulting. Okay? Like, there is absolutely no reason that someone should have to go out there, right? So maybe, carpets.
Why is that insulting? The price is the price, and there is no way you can compare what you charge a customer retail to what a store is going to pay you as a subcontractor.
You can't. How is paying somebody $25 and expecting them to provide the wax ring and take on all of that liability?
I don't know what the going rate is, and
why? So
believe
call
me,
a plumber.
installers aren't taking on liability.
They're not?
It falls on us every time.
That's bullshit. Why would you do that? The state of Arizona.
We've always done that.
Oh, that's dumb, though.
Yeah,
why would you take the liability for the first 2 years?
Out to do. Nobody sent. Well, not nobody. I don't know about anybody else, but even warranty work. At the end of the day, we're responsible for it, and we take care of our customers.
You're not responsible for 2 years.
Anything that goes wrong, we have I don't know that we've ever charged back an installer. Mm-hmm. That's part of doing business. Same thing if the salesperson screws up. I've never charged a salesperson, back charge them. So don't think that how the business works inside and out. You really don't.
I don't know everything. You're right.
You're making assumptions that you're not aware of.
But why wouldn't in the state of Arizona, you have to use licensed subcontractors, and they are responsible for the workmanship for 2 years. Why would you not hold them accountable for 2 years? Why would you take on the liability?
Because it's not as important to hold them accountable as it is to take care of the customer. I am better off taking care of the customer while that installer is doing another job. Mm-hmm. Or if that installer does poor work, I'm better off not using them, period. And how many customers say, I don't want that guy back in my home.
I agree.
So at the end of the day, the important thing is taking care of the customer. It's not making sure all your numbers line up exactly and that this installer is paying for this mistake or this salesperson is paying for this mistake. We don't look at things that way. I don't know how you move fast and do that. Now, the store that we took over, he used to do that. He wanted to make sure. And what it was is, calling the customer and telling them, oh, that's the installer. They got to stand behind it. So I'll have them get in touch with you. Oh, hell no, I'm not doing that.
Okay. And I agree with you. I think you should handle it, right? You sold the project. You should stand behind it. However, you can hold that installer responsible for, if the floor fails, why would you have your license eat that or have it come out of your pocket? They have a license
we're
and
going to
bond.
take care of our customer.
I understand that.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to...
Correct, but you can get reimbursed from the installer. They took the risk installing it, right? You can go after them. They have the license and the bond and all, and they should have insurance. So you can go get them. That's what I'm saying. So I want to get paid because I'm taking the risk. I don't look at it. If you want to treat people like that, then just make them an employee because you're going to handle everything, right? That's how you're operating and I'm not saying you're trying to treat the installer like an employee. Okay. You're operating as in you're taking on more risk. And so there's less pay to the installer because of it, right? Because you're just using them to get something done. I want to operate. If I'm going to go work for somebody and I have to carry my license and insurance, then I want to get compensated for that. And I think that's where we're disagreeing on this, is that I'm having the way you're operating is I'm now carrying things and paying for things that in working with you, I don't need. So I could save expenses that way.
Whatever those rates are, again, installers have a choice, right? They can go do retail work. They can do what you're doing. They can work for companies that pay better. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, we've tried getting installers that are getting paid half of what we pay, and the argument is always that the installers are underpaid and they want to get paid more. I've said no. I think the two things installers want more than anything, they want enough work to keep busy. That's number one by far. And number two, they'd like to have everything they need on the project with clear instructions so they can go in and do the job smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an area where I could say that we've never been as good as I wish we were, and that's just constant working on that and trying to improve that. But
I can
those
agree
are
with
the two
both of
things,
those.
because we've gone to those installers that are being paid much less than us. Look, how do you think Home Depot's getting all the work done? And there's plenty of stores like that
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
they're getting paid way less, but it's hard to get those installers in because they're busy. They're kept busy.
Well, they're kept busy, but they're living paycheck to paycheck. That's the problem. They can't afford not to go now. They can't take the risk to walk away to find something else. There's a mentality of
and
installer
again, you're
and taking
talking about them
and
being
other
victims
things.
of their circumstance, and I don't think
they're not victims. They chose to be there. They're not willing to take the risk.
their,
They're not willing to
that's
take
their
the action. Okay, to
mentality.
change
So
it. I understand. I agree. And look, one of the other reasons I don't like subcontracting is, like you said, right, having a detailed scope of work that clearly lays out what's happening. I don't like showing up to a shop, getting a work order, and not knowing what I'm walking into. I like selling my own project. I know where I'm going. I know where I know everything a week before, a night before. That's the way my mind works. So could shops do a better job of like providing that information ahead of time?
look,
Maybe.
again, the point of our conversation is not criticizing how you do business on a retail level.
I
It's
know.
saying how you judge how us larger companies move in how we do business and what should be important to us. Because you're not the only person that thinks this way. I
Yes.
mean, we get criticisms on the forum mostly from the retail installer who goes in and does these jobs and thinks they're bad at. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have
There
said
you're
that.
good.
But
You're fine.
when it comes to doing the installation, and there's no question that you're going to do a better job, but you're also not building that 5, 10, $15 million business. And so when we talk about some of the things like how do you solve the problem with the installation? Well, it's on us as the bigger stores who need those installers
Mm-hmm.
to attract, teach, pay, train and get those, we're the ones that are going to need it to survive. The thing that could change the most is the model where people buy the products from a store and buy the installation separately. And I'm working with some stores on that model to show how that benefits the customer for them.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the store. I'm going to work with each store on their model and how it benefits their customer the most, whether you're providing the full service soup to nuts, or you want to just provide the material, or you just want to provide the installation.
There's a ton of different ways to
So
do it. There's
how
not
can you better your game wherever you're at?
Correct. Yes. Well, there's not one size fits all. And once again, like just because I disagree with how that business does it, you're right. I don't know their numbers. I'm not at that size. But let's have the discussion, because I think at least putting it out there, we can see what's working for me at my size, what works for you at your size. In doing my mastermind groups, there's people that are doing $300,000 a year with people that are doing a couple million a year. And the larger the business gets, the harder it gets to pivot. I think you would agree with that, right? To get it to go a new direction, it's much harder at 10, 15, $20 million, right? There's more employees, there's more things to change to get it to go somewhere else. Whereas a guy like me, it's just me, right? If I decide that I want to go left today instead of right, I go left. It's not hard to get everybody on board with that because it's just me. But the bigger you grow, I think people tend to forget what it's like to be scrappy. And when you're small, you don't realize how important the systems and processes are. But by having that discussion, we can pass ideas back and forth. And the big guy might need to get scrappy on something and see that. But I need to learn how I need your systems and processes. I think that's what's most overlooked from the perspective of the guy that's the installer. And that's why a lot of them don't succeed, right? They forget that they're a business, and they forget that in order to be successful, you have to have a system and process laid out that you can repeat over and over and over again. And it's just, well, I just go do this. Well, okay, but why? Okay, how do you train somebody, right? You can't just bring somebody in and start throwing directions at them. We have to be able to walk them through a program. There's a reason the union has an apprenticeship program, right? It's successful. It gets a guy from apprentice to journeyman. And so,
Man, a lot of people made that criticism too. The training groups is that doesn't really teach you how to install. So what?
it
Gets them
doesn't.
in the funnel.
It gets them in the funnel and it gives them the basics. Now they have to
Yeah, and
provide
so
it.
they go work and they learn like everybody else and get better experience as they
Correct.
go along.
But
So
that's why my criticism was, who do you hand them off to? Are there enough, if they start training enough people, are there enough good installers to hand them off to? Or are we going to lose people to
well,
the
again,
poor techniques out there?
and it's the retail store that's probably going to set that up more than anybody. Marry them with the installers, you
Could
know,
be.
hook them up or whatever, because they're the ones that have the work. They're the ones that have the opportunity. You know, there are some installation companies, but that have different crews.
But
It'll be both. I mean, it'll be both the retailers and those, but the retailers are the ones that have the connections with these organizations. So it's more likely going to be retailers, especially big companies like America's Floor Source, or that will take these guys on and put them under apprenticeship.
You're right. But okay, so therein lies the problem, though. Once again, you're pointing out that retailers are getting involved with these organizations, and then installers bitch and moan, right? Okay, and they do. My say doesn't matter. Shut up. Once again, it comes down to action. Go get involved. Okay, you go volunteer with CFI. Go get involved with FCEF. Go get off your butt and do something. Okay, like I will agree with you on that. Okay, you want to make a difference. You want to change the ANSI standards because you don't like them. Go get on the committee to change the ANSI standard. You can do it. No one's stopping you from doing that. So
I'm not too concerned about the complaints because, quite frankly, nobody gets on Facebook and say everything's hunky dory. Those posts don't do too good.
You're correct there as well, right? And so, but the point is that if you want to, you are right in that retail. Once again, it's going to take everybody to solve an installation problem. It's going to take manufacturers wanting to help with training. It's going to take retailers wanting to build out programs because you're larger and can actually afford to have training programs. And it's going to take good, dedicated installers with pride to pass on good values and work ethic. It's going to take everyone to do it. And so step up, go get involved. And I think that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. And then for the rest of it, there's a million ways to run a business. We're not all going to see eye to eye, and people's views change over time. But what can we take from each other and where we're at?
Yeah. Fair enough.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate it. Folks, go once again, check out the website, go to the store, pick up a shirt. Check out the sponsors. Thanks to Johns Manville and International Surfaces Event, both. So we've got one little order of business to do, and then we can get out of here for the week. It's time to make your plans to travel to Las Vegas with me to hit the show floor at the International Surface Event. And we're there this week, so you better get on a plane and head there right now. Tice has been kind enough to provide me with an incredible offer for you. You can now register for a free exhibits pass with the code Kyle. That's KYLE for those of you who can't spell my name. Registration is open online at www.intlsurfaceevent.com/register. It's all happening now in Las Vegas until February 2nd. Plus, don't miss our special podcast episode this December, which will give you the inside scoop on what's happening. Oh, I lied. It's not now. I think this is on the 28th. 31st through the 2nd, folks. Come on out to Vegas. Enjoy a great time at Surfaces. Here's a reason why, right? This can go with this discussion. Jerry, is Surfaces an event for installers?
Oh, everybody. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Why? What would be beneficial?
Oh, is it an event just for the pure fact of education and networking?
Okay. I love it. So for me, I look at it as, even if you're just a subcontractor, right? Like that's what you want to title yourself as, quote unquote. I'm just a subcontractor. I would go to Surfaces and go learn about the products. I'd go back to my retailer and be like, I like this one, this one, this one. You shouldn't carry other stuff that came out this year. Give them input on on why you like a product, and you may influence what you get to work with. Right? There are good and easy products to work with, and there are products that are super difficult to work with. And then you can go and network and see what's going on in your industry. Be involved. You want to make the change? Get up off your butt, put some action into it, and go be change that you want to see. Get involved, make a difference. And I think that's why installers need to go to Surfaces.
Absolutely.
Beyond like just, you get to go hang out with your friends and see all these guys that you know from across the country, or the gals and all that stuff. So, all right, that'll do it. Thanks again, Jerry. Appreciate you coming on and the conversation.
All right, Kyle. Thanks.